the first unions in the country joining with others in advocating for peace. And finally, it looks likely. We stand here today to encourage the new school board to help us settle on an agreement that is not predicated on mass layoffs and furloughs, that centers the needs for lower class sizes, meeting the needs of our students with disabilities, English language learners, LGBTQIA students, African American students, houseless students, and help create a more joyful and dynamic elementary school day with more access to sports, arts, libraries, and librarians, and a rich and dimensional curriculum that centers the lived experience, cultural needs, and interests of our students, their families, and communities. In summary, we need a Board of Education of public ed champions to help us protect the ability to teach the truth. The truth about our history and our present is non-negotiable. Protect African American children. This district must never again commit the civil rights violations of suspending kindergartners. Those days are over. Protect queer and trans students. Title IX is their shield, and we must defend it. Be a sanctuary for immigrant students, educators, and families. Chicago is their home, and they are our family. There's only one way to make this happen. Fight for revenue with courage and creativity. Refuse to accept cuts. Refuse to go backwards. Layoffs and school closings and privatization in the past have gutted schools, leaving students without the support they deserve. We must never repeat those mistakes again. So I want to bring up some key representatives of our big bargaining team who were bargaining today, and we'll talk about how the new Board of Education can support these transformational ideas. The following members will be coming up: Janine Woods from Haynes Elementary School, Quintella Bounds from Corliss High School, Vicky Kurdzillo from Saguenash Elementary School, Quinton Washington from Sadlowski Elementary School, Diane Castro from Lorca Elementary School, and at the end, Hilario Dominguez will translate for today's presser. Thank you. Janine?
Hi. My name is Janine Woods, and I'm from Haynes Elementary School. I have over 20 years of experience. I find it deeply upsetting that CPS is resisting to adjust the elementary school day, particularly when it comes to adding 20 minutes of instructional time. This additional block is crucial for supporting my students and enhancing their learning experience. Those 20 minutes could significantly improve holistic learning opportunities, allowing us to design more comprehensive and engaging lesson plans that promote deeper understanding and greater success. Far from distraction of my students' education, this additional time would only enhance it. Moreover, these 20 minutes would improve much needed support for my students from Venezuela, who has very limited English proficiency. This time could be used to address language barriers and ensure that all students, regardless of their background, have the opportunity to thrive. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Quintella Bounds. I am a case manager at 2 of Chicago Public Schools.
You should spell your name.
And that's Quintella, Quintella. Last name Bounds, B as in boy, O-U, N as in Nancy, D as in David, S as in Sam. Today was bittersweet. I was able to share my experience as a case manager of 2 schools, servicing over 192 students with IEPs and 504s. I had to explain what I do to the individuals that were present and the impact it should have on educating children. Unfortunately, I've accepted a position where I cannot fully fulfill the role because I'm a 0.5 at one school and a 0.5 at another school. I should be the bridge between classroom, or school to families. But unfortunately, servicing 192 students, I'm unable to be that bridge. I'm only able to send notifications out, schedule meetings, finalize IEPs, and move on to the next day. There's not enough hours in the day for me to do the job that I am hired to do because I'm only one person. Our children in Chicago Public Schools deserve better. Our children in the United States deserve better. So I ask our board to demand for more special education case managers, reduce class sizes, and we're asking for your support. Thank you.
Vicki.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vicki Kurzydlo, and that last name is spelled K-U-R-Z-Y-D-L-O. And I'm here because our working environment is your children's learning environment. And in order to provide the environment that those students need to thrive, we need staffing. Adequate staffing is the key to solving so many issues that are going on in our schools today. For example, teachers' assistants. In a classroom, whether it is a general education classroom or a special education classroom, it is almost impossible for one teacher to meet the needs of all the diverse learning needs of our children. We teach students that are performing with significant deficits in their academic needs, all the way to students that are performing at or above grade level. We teach students with emotional issues. We teach students with some issues that can't be described in a single sentence. We need clinicians. We need psychologists, nurses, a nurse in every school. We need social workers. We need teachers' assistants, and we need them desperately. Remember, our working environments are your children's learning environments, and without the proper staffing, it makes it very, very difficult to ensure that your children are getting the education that they so desperately are entitled to. Thank you.
Next, Quentin Washington.
Good afternoon. That is Quentin, Quentin, middle initial S, Washington. And good afternoon. I am hopeful that our newly elected and appointed or hybrid school board will really hear the words that we are saying, that we're screaming from the mountaintop of the help and the resources that we need in our schools. As an elementary music teacher, I see over 650 students a week. It is important that we have those types of experiences in our school communities. And unfortunately, every school doesn't get to have music and art, which my school is fortunate enough to have full-time music and art. But we also have several students, so many students that we have to divide them up because of the way the elementary school day schedules are made. So I'm hopeful that as we're really evaluating this contract and really trying to come to some agreement, that CPS leadership and that this Board of Education will understand the significance of a very different and imaginative school day. We need flexibility that this current schooling schedule does not allow for elementary school. The schedule is too rigid. It doesn't allow for transitions. It really doesn't allow for bathroom breaks. So you have paper, you have time on paper, 60 minutes here, 75 minutes there. But what we really don't have is a system that is flexible enough to really allow schools the autonomy to really build a schedule that works in the best interest of that school community. We don't have the resources and the finances in these school communities that are really giving those things like art teachers, music teachers, and librarians, and language teachers, foreign language teachers. We need these things. in our school communities that so many of them, particularly on the south and west sides of our city, do not have. These were the communities that were disinvested in. These were the communities that were decimated in 2012 when all of these schools were closed. And so we're still reeling from the effects of that. And so I am hopeful that as we are bargaining in good faith, that CPS and this Board of Education will equally bargain in good faith to make sure that we get those resources that our schools and our elementary school communities so desperately need. Thank you.
Now, Diane Castro, please.
Hello, my name is Dr. Diane Castro. That is DIANE-CASTRO, and I am a bilingual preschool teacher at Lorca Elementary School. As today we saw the new elected school board seated, we hope to see the conclusion to this contract negotiation to ensure the type of transformational commitment of our students and families deserve. I've been a preschool teacher for 18 years. In that time, I have seen our district move in a direction that has created barriers to learning as opposed to enriching their school day. We have seen the removal of teaching assistants and play-based learning in the earliest grades. Instead, we are now seeing a school day that is prescribed, rigid, and limited in supports. In the face of potential budget cuts, those deficits that have been identified and created by CPS, my own school could face staffing cuts. Last school year, we lost 2 teaching positions, one in kindergarten and one in first grade. If the district moves forward with the idea of cuts, we could see staffing cuts in double digits. If this new board, in conjunction with CEO Martinez, move forward with any sort of budget cuts, they would not only show that they are not interested in growth, but they co-sign the idea that our students do not deserve a rich learning experience. I'm a bilingual educator. I care deeply about the rights of non-English speakers in this district. We need a settled contract that enshrines the rights of every student, be that our language learners, our Black and Brown students, our LGBTQIA students, our students in selective enrollment, and more. In short, every student in this district and the families that love them. We cannot turn our back on this contract, which is our love letter to the stakeholders of CPS. I will now translate in Spanish. Mi nombre es doctora Diane Castro y soy maestra bilingüe en la Escuela Lorca. Como hoy vimos tomar asiento la nueva Junta Escolar electa, esperamos ver la conclusión de esta negociación de contrato para garantizar los derechos y un compromiso transformador que nuestros estudiantes y familias merecen. He sido maestra de preescolar durante 18 años escolares. En ese tiempo he visto a nuestro distrito escolar avanzar en una dirección que ha creado barreras para el aprendizaje en lugar de enriquecer su día escolar. Hemos visto la eliminación de asistentes de enseñanza, el aprendizaje basado en el juego en los grados más jóvenes, porque nuestro distrito promueve un día escolar prescrito, rígido y con apoyos limitados. Ante posibles déficits presupuestarios, aquellos déficits que han sido identificados y creados por CPS. Mi propia escuela podría enfrentar más recortes de personal. El año pasado tuvimos que cortar 2 maestros, uno de kinder y uno de primer grado. Si el distrito sigue adelante con recortes, podríamos ver recortes de personal de hace doble dígitos. Si esta nueva junta, junto con el CEO Martínez, avanzan con recortes, no solo demostrarán que no están interesados en el crecimiento, sino que respaldan la idea de que nuestros estudiantes no se merecen una rica experiencia de aprendizaje. Soy educadora bilingüe. Me preocupan los estudiantes bilingües de este distrito. Necesitamos contrato establecido que consagre los derechos de cada estudiante, sean afroamericanos, latines, de comunidades de LGTBQIA, de escuelas selectivas y más. O sea, todos los estudiantes de este distrito y las familias que los aman. No podemos darle la espalda a este contrato, lo cual es nuestra carta de amor para cada estudiante y cada persona que es parte de CPS. Gracias.
Buenas tardes, Me llamo Hilario Domínguez, HILARIODOMINGUEZ. Trabajo aquí en el Sindicato de Maestros. También soy maestro de educación especial, nacido y crecido en el vecindario de Pilsen, a padres inmigrantes de México. Voy a leer unas pocas de notas, traduciendo lo que acaban de decir mis compañeros. Hoy es un día histórico, no solo para Chicago, sino también para el mundo. En Gaza finalmente hay un alto al fuego, un paso hacia la paz que tantas personas han estado pidiendo. Este sindicato fue uno de los primeros en abogar por la paz. Y hoy celebramos este momento con la esperanza. Gracias a Dios que tenemos paz en el mundo. En Chicago también estamos haciendo historia. Por primera vez en más de 150 años tenemos un consejo escolar elegido por el público. Este es un triunfo para la democracia y un paso hacia un sistema escolar más justo. Algo por lo que este sindicato, junto con nuestros aliados, ha luchado durante más de una década. Le pedimos al nuevo consejero escolar que actúe con urgencia y apoye un contrato justo, porque mientras ellos están asumiendo su responsabilidad, Pedro Martínez sigue sin actuar. Necesitamos un acuerdo que, 1, reduzca el tamaño de las clases para que nuestros estudiantes reciban la atención que necesitan. 2, asegura que todas las escuelas tengan bibliotecas porque el acceso a recursos de calidad es un derecho, no un lujo. 3, aborde la falta de personal que está sobrecargando a nuestros educadores y afectando el aprendizaje de nuestros estudiantes. 4, incluya más asistentes de maestros en nuestras aulas para garantizar que cada estudiante tenga el apoyo necesario para aprender y crecer. Al nuevo consejo escolar les decimos esto: el tiempo perdido, hasta los santos lo lloran. Por favor, no pierden tiempo. Pedro Martínez ya ha perdido mucho tiempo. No está actuando con urgencia que necesitan los estudiantes. Nuestros padres trabajan 1, 2, 3 trabajos para poder darle la educación que merecen los hijos. Mientras, Pedro está diciendo no, que no hay esto, que no hay eso. Pero ustedes trabajan para poder darles a los hijos lo que merecen. Le pedimos al Consejo Escolar, actúen con urgencia. Gracias.
Any questions?
Couple.
Yeah.
You're going from a board that was entirely appointed by the mayor to one that has now publicly elected officials. How do you anticipate things being different under this board?
Yeah, I mean, I might just offer, and Jackson Potter, Vice President CTU, that finally we have people with skin in the game, not people who ran banks or advocated for school closures but didn't send their own children to public schools, but people who have gone on hunger strikes for, 20 days and more in order to reopen closed schools, like G2 Brown from the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization. I think, you've also got public school champions that come out of community organizations in Little Village on the school board, people who have fought for environmental justice on the school board. It's a panoply and diverse group with a lot of experience in schools, whether as teachers or 3, I think, retired teachers on the school board, with an intimate knowledge of what it takes to fully fund schools, not cut them, not undermine the progress being made. To me, that's a big win for Chicago.
Does the Civic Federation report released this week make any difference? Or how big a difference?
I mean, the Civic Federation has said the same thing every time we're in a contract negotiation. You got to remember, ComEd runs the Civic Federation. It's not the people of Chicago. So it's a stark contrast to an elected school board of citizen leaders who actually have to deal with the fallout when the Civic Federation says we got to close schools and what happens when that occurs. So this was the same group that was backing Rahm when he made the greatest number of school closures in American history that was almost exclusively in the African American community. In retrospect, that was a travesty. It had great, painful impact on the African American community. It displaced hundreds of thousands of people in its wake. So that's something we don't want to repeat. So we will not be following their orders on school cuts and closures.
What's the biggest message you want to send to the school board?
The biggest message we want to send to the school board, I think you heard it today, right? Over and over again, that we're close. I think CPS said, Miguel Pereda, head of labor relations, on Monday said, we've given them 73 demands. He made that sound like it's a lot, but it's 10% of the overall demands. And whether we quibble with the number, it does show 90% progress. We've completed many of the most difficult, thorny questions and come to a compromise and conclusion. Why can't we do it for this last leg? We certainly don't want this to be an interminable process. We know that there's reputational damage to both the school board and the schools themselves the longer this drags on. We've tried to be the adults and the people advocating for compromise. We've brought down our initial proposals considerably. We've shown them where to find the money and they keep saying no, or they can't. So we need the school board to step in, use its advocacy, its power, its ability to make sure students get what they need and bring the parties together.
Can that happen while Pedro Martinez is still in this position?
I mean, my understanding of state statute, and this applies to every district across Illinois, is that the school boards have ultimate authority to determine policy, and they vote budgets, and they will decide, are we going to invest or are we going to cut? So this school board similarly has that choice at its disposal, and it's a gargantuan one, and it's going to have a big impact either way. So we hope they'll make the right choices. We think they will based on their experience and background.
We need to dominate.
Well, and it's like CEO Martinez has never taught in a school. He's a CPA, so he comes out of the business community. He's the one who brought in the terrible bank deals when he was the chief financial officer from 03 to 07 that have sunk the district finances. So we can't really trust him. He's unelected. He was fired. He's not an educator. He was appointed by the previous mayor. These folks have been elected or appointed by an elected official. That gives them more authority and they have more knowledge and experience. So it's only natural that they should pursue ways to resolve these differences.
So you'd like to see them put pressure on him to change his position?
Whether it's putting pressure on him, whether it's them playing their role per state statute in governing the district and figuring out a path forward, however it works, we just want them to be able to help us resolve these differences. Any other questions out there? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.